Okay, let's dive into a really important topic, forklift safety. Now, these machines are absolute workhorses in so many industries, right? But the dangers they pose are honestly often overlooked. So, in this explainer, we're going to walk through a kind of safety playbook using official guidelines to really get a handle on the hazards and, more importantly, how to stop them in their tracks. The safety documents we're looking at here, they don't mess around. They start with these incredibly stark, real-world examples of what happens when things go wrong. This isn't just some theoretical risk. This was a real person, a fatal incident, all caused by a falling load. And it doesn't stop there. Here's another absolutely devastating scenario. A tip over is pretty much one of the most dangerous things that can happen with a forklift. And we have to remember, these aren't just accidents. They are life-ending tragedies that completely shatter families and workplaces. And see, the thing is, the dangers aren't always the big, obvious ones you think of. It's not just about getting hit or crushed, as this shows the threat can be totally invisible, a silent gas just building up in a closed-off room with deadly results. So, after looking at these stories and so many others, safety experts came to one powerful conclusion: almost all of them could have been avoided. This isn't about bad luck, it's about a breakdown in safe practices. And that's both the tragedy and the big opportunity here, isn't it? Right? So, what does this all mean? It means that safety in the workplace is never an accident. It's the direct result of a thought-out, organized program. A playbook that every single person understands and follows. It's about building a real culture of safety right from the ground up. Our safety playbook, well, it starts with the foundation, and that is the work environment itself. Because, look, even the absolute best operator in the world can't stay safe in an unsafe workplace. So the bedrock of a safe environment is something called a formal hazard assessment. It's a really clear three-step process. First, you just identify every possible thing that could be a danger. Then, you write it all down in a report. This part's key because it keeps everyone on the same page. And finally, and this is so important, it's not a one-and-done thing. You have to reassess anytime something changes. Now, what's so smart about this is how it shows that safety is literally built right into the physical design of the workplace. We're talking about basic but vital stuff, like making sure there's enough room overhead and on the sides, painting clear walkways to keep people and machines separate, and just making sure there's enough light and fresh air. It's all about being proactive, not reactive. Okay, so once you set up a safe environment, the focus naturally shifts to the most critical part of the whole equation, the person behind the wheel. Let's talk about what it really means to be a competent operator. The official definition of a competent operator goes way beyond just knowing how to drive the thing. It's a complete 360 degrees understanding. You have to know the machine inside and out. You have to be able to spot risks before they turn into problems. And you have to operate with this constant awareness not just for yourself, but for every single person around you. And this just lays it out perfectly. You can think of it like this. There are two halves that make a whole competent operator. On one side, you've got the knowledge, the book smarts like understanding the physics of stability and the manufacturer's rules. On the other, you've got the hands-on skills actually doing the pre-op checks, handling loads correctly. You absolutely need both. True competence is where those two things meet. Next up, let's get into the day habits and procedures. These are the rules of the road that take a safety plan from just being words on paper and turn it into a reality on the shop floor. This one is totally non-negotiable. Before an operator even thinks about turning the key, they have to do a full visual check of the machine. They're looking for stuff like hydraulic leaks, worn-out tires, damaged forks, really anything that could make that machine unsafe. It's the first line of defense every single shift. These rules right here, they're the absolute bedrock of safe operation. Carrying loads low to the ground, that's just physics, right? It keeps the machine center of gravity stable. driving backwards when you can see, just common sense, and keeping your arms and legs inside the forklift's cage at all times is a must. These aren't suggestions, they are life-saving rules. Okay, let's just imagine for a second one of the most terrifying moments an operator could ever face. A tip over. The machine starts to go and you've got a split second to react. What's your gut instinct tell you to do? Because for a lot of people, that first instinct could be the last mistake they ever make. The number one rule, and I know this goes against every survival instinct you have, is this: do not jump. The overhead guard, the cage of the forklift, is literally designed to protect you. If you jump, you often land right in the path of the crushing machine. The correct procedure is to hold on tight to the steering wheel, brace your feet, and lean away from the fall. Following these steps is what can save your life. And finally, we have to talk about this because it's so important. Safety is not a one-person job. It doesn't all fall on the operator. It's a shared responsibility, and everyone involved has a clear role to play. And hey, the law is crystal clear on this. The employer has the biggest duty. They have to ensure a safe workplace for everyone. The worker, well, you have a duty to work safely and look out for the people around you. And get this, even the company that supplies or rents out the forklift has a legal duty to make sure that equipment is safe. Everybody has a piece of this. And that really brings us to the final and most critical question. It's one thing for us to talk about these rules, but it's another thing entirely to live them. So, think about it. Is there a clear safety playbook where you work? And even more important, do you know exactly what your role is in that playbook? Because putting all this stuff into practice, day in and day out, that's what truly prevents tragedies. That's what saves lives.